So here's the story that has everyone's phones lighting up and timelines exploding. A shocking new video has surfaced, one that people are calling the final piece of the puzzle. For more than a decade, rumors swirled about the mysterious death of Cathy White, the woman once linked to Jay-Z, the woman some believed was carrying his child, and the woman whose name was buried faster than the news cycle could spin. But what if I told you that the real shock isn't her death, it's what came after? Because this video doesn't just reopen old wounds, it shakes the ground beneath everything fans thought they knew. It claims Cathy White's daughter, the child many whispered about but never saw, was never missing at all. She's alive, she's been hidden in plain sight, and her existence changes everything. But how did we get here? And why is this video sending the internet into a frenzy? To understand the weight of this moment, you have to go back to the beginning, to the whispers, the silences, and the secrets that never sat right with anyone. Because Cathy White's story wasn't just about a woman gone too soon. It was about power, image, money, and the lengths some people will go to keep the truth from ever seeing daylight. Cathy White wasn't a household name like Bianca or Jay-Z. But in the quiet corners of New York nightlife, and among the inner circles of the rich and powerful, her face and her name carried weight. She was striking, confident, bold, and unafraid to move in spaces most women could only dream of entering. She dated high-profile men, she brushed shoulders with celebrities, and she wasn't shy about it. That alone made her a target for whispers. The biggest whisper? That she was involved with Jay-Z. Not just in passing, not just as another name in a long list of rumors, but involved enough for people to wonder if their connection ran deeper than anyone admitted. Around the same time Bianca announced she was pregnant with Blue Ivy, Cathy had begun opening up in private conversations about her own pregnancy. That chilling overlap was where the theories took root. And then, as fast as her story began to surface, Cathy was gone. A sudden death, a brain aneurysm, they said. But people didn't buy it. She was too young, too healthy, too full of life for it to make sense. And what really fueled the suspicions wasn't just how she died, it was what she was about to reveal. Friends claimed she had receipts, documentation, even plans to go public. But death cut her off before she ever got the chance. Or maybe, as some whisper, death was sent her way because of those plans. Her name faded. Her story was dismissed as internet gossip. And that would have been the end of it, except the questions never died. They lived online, in blogs, in forums, in late-night conversations where people said what they couldn't say in daylight. And at the center of those questions was always the same haunting thought: what about the baby? If Cathy really was pregnant, if she really was carrying Jay-Z's child, what happened to that child? Was the baby born? Was it hidden? Was it silenced just like her mother? For years, no one knew. And every time someone tried to dig deeper, they hit walls of silence, denial, and fear. But here's where the story turns. A new video, grainy, raw, and chilling, just dropped. It's not some fan-made montage or wild theory stitched together from old blogs. No, this is different. It shows a young woman, maybe late teens, maybe early 20s, sitting in what looks like a small studio apartment. The video is shaky, clearly filmed on a phone, but her words are steady. She says she is Cathy White's daughter. And more than that, she claims she was never missing at all. Her voice is calm, but the story she tells is anything but. She says she was raised away from the spotlight, told never to speak about her mother, never to mention her name. She doesn't drop Bianca's or Jay-Z's names directly, but she hints at powerful people who didn't want her to exist publicly. She says her birth certificate was altered, her family was paid off, and for years she believed the lie that silence was her only option. And now, in 2025, she's speaking. The timing couldn't be more explosive. Bianca is preparing for another major tour. Jay-Z is locked in his billionaire empire, working on deals that stretch from sports to spirits. Their image, the untouchable power couple, has never been stronger. But this video cuts through all of that, reminding people of the ghost that never left their shadow. The girl in the video doesn't look like Bianca, but she does carry features that fans online are already dissecting, frame by frame. The jawline. The eyes. The smile. Some swear she looks like Jay-Z. Others say she's the spitting image of Cathy White herself. Either way, the resemblance is too strong for the internet to ignore. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. She claims she was never missing because she was never hidden in the way people thought. She says she went to school, had friends, lived a normal life but always under another name. They told me to live quietly, she says. They told me I was better off being nobody. Think about that. For more than a decade, while fans speculated online, while documentaries and gossip channels spun theories, the truth was sitting in plain sight. A girl growing up under a false identity, stripped of her connection to her mother, stripped of her voice, also the most powerful couple in music could keep their world intact. If what she says is true, it's not just a scandal. It's a cover-up that ran deeper than anyone imagined. Not just silencing Cathy White, but rewriting her daughter's entire existence. And the emotional weight of that? It's crushing. Imagine growing up knowing your mother died mysteriously, being told not to ask questions, being told to erase her name from your memory. Imagine carrying the truth inside you, watching the people connected to your story celebrated on stages worldwide, while you were told to stay invisible. That's not just painful. That's betrayal on a generational level. The internet, of course, is divided. Some believe the girl immediately, pointing out the uncanny resemblance and the details she shares that line up with Cathy's known history. Others are skeptical, saying anyone could make a video and claim to be her child. But even the skeptics admit there's something about this that feels too real to dismiss. And maybe that's why it's hitting so hard. Because for years, people said Cathy White's story didn't add up. For years, people said her death was too convenient, too neat, too easy for everyone else involved. And now here comes a young woman who says, "I'm the proof you were never supposed to see." The emotional impact of this revelation is massive. For Cathy's family who were silenced, paid, or pressured into silence, it's a reopening of old wounds. For Bianca and Jay-Z, it's the kind of storm they've spent their entire careers trying to avoid. For fans, it's the ultimate betrayal, the idea that the love story sold as perfect was built on secrets, pain, and maybe even blood. But at the center of it all is a young woman who just wants to be seen. Not as a rumor, not as a missing child, not as some ghost-haunting celebrity gossip, but as Cathy White's daughter. As the living proof that her mother's story didn't end the way the headlines claimed. And that's where this leaves us with more questions than answers. If she is who she says she is, why now? Why speak out in 2025, after years of silence? Did she finally gather the courage? Did someone else push her to reveal herself? Or is this just the beginning of something even bigger? Because if Cathy White's daughter truly was never missing, then the world has to ask, who made us believe she was? Who buried her existence so deep it took over a decade for her to emerge? And what else have they buried along the way? What nobody expected was for the ghost of Cathy White to come back in the form of her daughter's voice. A voice that cuts through the lies, the secrecy, and the power games. A voice that says, "You tried to erase me. But I was never gone." And if that's true, then this isn't just a scandal. It's the unraveling of one of the biggest deceptions in music history. Because you can silence a woman. You can bury her story. But you can't erase her bloodline. And Cathy White's daughter is living proof of that. And so, the question that once lived in whispers now demands to be answered. If Cathy White's daughter was never missing, then what else has been hidden from us all these years? The video may not have every answer, but it carries a truth powerful enough to shake an empire. Cathy's voice was silenced, but through her daughter, it speaks again. And maybe that's the real lesson here: you can bury secrets, you can hide the truth, but sooner or later, it will rise. Cathy's story isn't finished. In fact, it might only just be beginning.